Okay, everyone, we have some things to discuss this episode. But before we jump into this episode, I actually want to discuss something with the opening that I didn't catch when I made my analysis on the actual rewrite opening. See, shortly after I made that video, there was one thing people kept mentioning of why I missed one scene before I jumped to Kotaro waking up in the hospital and then into the bed. And I never could figure out what scene I missed because I kept rewatching it, but it was there for literally like half a second, so it was just easy for me not to get. And after so many people, just kept doing it, I just kept rewatching until I caught it. And after seeing the like 5 or the 0.5 of a second that I saw, I'm pretty sure I understand what happened to Kotaro, and then after seeing this episode, I think I also know what happened to Lucia. So, let me explain. In my rewrite analysis, if you didn't watch it, I basically talk about how the point of we see Kotaro wake up in, or basically we see him what it looks to be like getting killed, he wakes up in the hospital, and then he wakes up in his bed, so I gave a bunch of ideas of what that could mean. What I didn't catch was before he wakes up in the hospital, someone grabs his hand. Then he wakes up in the hospital, then he wakes up in his bed. So to me, that means he got killed at one point. The reason being, when we see him against the ghost, it looks like he gets cut in half or just gets stabbed and it looks like he's dead. Someone picks up his hand, he wakes up in the hospital, wakes up in his bed. To me, that symbolizes that he was at one point dead, but someone has the ability to bring the dead back to life. Now, who has the ability to bring the dead back to life? Well, if we take a look at what character we meet in episode 1 right off the bat who's underneath the tree where all this weirdness happens, that is Katori. She is the one who we find sleeping under the tree, and Kotaro basically, uses change and gets her home. Now, I don't know her significance because we haven't had her episode yet, but I'm more than confident in saying I think she has the ability to bring the dead back to life. And I'm sure at this point, I'm going to get visual novel players being like, Brandon, you're theory crafting far too off, you need to focus on this. But that's what it looks like to me. I mean, we have one character who is sleeping under this tree at the very beginning. I feel like that had some sort of importance. And then also, our character does look like he's died. And to further my statement of he did die, Lucia makes a comment that she was born again at this place. Born again at this place. That place being that tree where Kotaro probably was born again after he got killed in some way. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, please try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, visual novel players. I mean, you can say I'm right in some things, wrong in some others, but I mean, that's what it's looking like to me. That's what it's looking like to me. Maybe I'm completely off base again, but I think I'm pretty close. I mean, a lot of what I've been predicting has been coming true, especially with the whole Save Earth thing. We get to see we have Guardian and Gaia. And how much do you want to bet that if you look at the end of the opening, Kotaro is sitting in a destroyed Earth? So I have two theories of what could happen here, because it is going to eventually go anime only with its arc, so not even visual novel players will eventually know what's going to happen. So what if, by accident, Kotaro basically rewrites his DNA to let him live forever? Like, that is honestly a possibility. He has the ability to rewrite his DNA. He can do whatever he wants to his body. Now, obviously he's not going to make himself immortal on purpose, but what if he loses control of his powers at some point, and he has to watch everyone kind of die around him? That could definitely be a possibility, and I'd be excited to see where that is. But I think the more plausible theory is that at one point, Kotaro is going to join Gaia, because I feel like half the members in this club are in Gaia and half are in Guardian. I feel like that's the case, and I feel like depending on who he's going to side with, I feel like he could end up with Gaia, who thinks that basically this key, which I think is the ghost, could bring the resurrection of the Earth to happen, whereas, Guardian thinks that it will destroy the Earth. So which one is right, which one's wrong? At this point, we really don't know, and I really like that plot point, but I think at some point, possibly, if they go for a bad ending, which honestly, if they make the bad ending work, I'm all for that, but what if he joins Gaia and actually does destroy the Earth? That's a possibility. That is definitely a possibility. But let's talk about Lucia this episode, because honestly, I've spoke about her a lot. Honestly, she's best girl in this series to me. I just find her really, really fascinating. But something that was interesting the entire way while I was watching it, I couldn't tell if this was two separate characters, the little girl and then Lucia, or if that was her younger self. We do get it confirmed that was just her younger self. But we learn that basically, if she touches anything with her skin, living or basically anything, it just gets destroyed or withers away. But the thing is she can destroy glass without actually touching it. So the thing is, so she has some sort of like poison on her skin, but at the same time, does she have some sort of like force that she can emit from her skin? Because what else could shatter glass without touching it? It would have to be some sort of force, be it wind or just, telekinesis, something to that nature. So she must have some sort of force that can destroy things, be it human or whatever. Or maybe it's two abilities, right? In terms of living things, if her skin makes contact, it just poisons everything. And then in terms of inanimate objects, maybe just her force can just break and shatter things. That's what I'm thinking in terms of her power. We'll have to wait and see, but I did love seeing basically kind of re-raised DNA to be able to handle her poison, and her look of happiness was just so heartwarming. I thought it was amazing seeing that, and I mean, that's OTP for me. Honestly, that's OTP for me. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to have people be like, no, this is best girl of the series, but my opinion, I'm not saying you can't have yours. But seriously, I am loving this anime. Now, I know after last week, visual novel players are split kind of 50-50. And hear me out on one thing. Visual novel adaptations are very difficult to do, more so than a lot, because you have a 30-hour arc, and a lot of times you get 1 or 2 episodes. In this case, we're getting 1 episode, which you can tell even if you don't play it, that each girl is getting her route shoved into 1 episode. But I don't think it's doing it bad. Now, I haven't played it, so I don't see where they're cutting out, but the thing is, you have to understand, when it comes to an adaptation, they're going to change things. That's the point of an adaptation. It's the state to adapt or change things. But as long as they get the main focus in the episode, obviously they're going to cut out a lot of dialogue, which is probably a lot of humor and things like that. They get it across. And as an anime only, I'm feeling for these characters in 1 episode. Now, in terms of Lucia, I already really liked her, but, last week with Shizuru, it had an emotional swing to it. Obviously, you're going to get more detail when you play the visual novel. You just have to understand that you're not going to get a full season of 12 episodes to tell 1 arc. Sure, that would be amazing if you could get that, but in all honesty, they just don't translate well, right? I mean, each medium is its own thing. In terms of a visual novel, 30 hours going through all this text, it's not going to seem like a drag, but if you had 12 episodes just taking that 30-hour arc, which is probably a lot of comedy and just kind of slice-of-life moments, it's not going to be as entertaining in all honesty, at least for a lot of anime viewers. So really, I'm sure people are still probably going to be upset with this episode, probably saying it's a shit adaptation, 8-Bit did it again. It's just, I want people to kind of think of it that way, Each medium's going to be its own thing. Each one's going to do its own thing with it. They're going to change things. But I feel like they're still getting the core down because this doesn't feel like, ass pulled or anything like that. It doesn't feel rushed in my opinion. I feel like it was the perfect pace. It got everything that it needed to done and just got me feeling for everyone. And I'm glad that they're kind of doing it in 1 episode, so once we get all these introductions done, once we get every character's backstory done, we can get into this anime-only content, and hopefully, if the rumors are true, there'll be another season to carry over to those other arcs I've been hearing about. But I love this episode. I love every episode of Rewrite, but I honestly think that since we started focusing on everyone individually, it's been getting a lot better, in all honesty, and I never hated this, as you can see with my videos. I love this series. But overall, I really did love this. And I think I'm on the right track here. I think, our MC was killed. I think Kotori probably brought him back to life similar to Lucia based on the actual dialogue this episode. And I think it's very well possible that he might join up with Gaia and possibly destroy the world based on the opening scenes. I mean, but we'll have to wait and see because, like I said, even visual novel players won't know eventually what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see overall, but as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you love the episode? Did you hate it? What do you think of my theories? Try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, please. You guys have been awesome with that, by the way. Honestly, a lot of channels, will just have spoilers written throughout the comments, but you guys are awesome, so I thank you for that. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button before you leave, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. So until next time, everyone, please take care. Have a good one.